Most delegates come expecting to revise the Articles of Confederation, the loose agreement among the states, which is the basis of their union. But a small group is convinced that the Articles will have to be completely scrapped. One of them is James Madison, a shy, scholarly Virginian, whose voice is so faint that at meetings he is constantly being told to speak up.
Madison was about 5'1". He had a high, squeaky voice. I mean, Steven Seagal could not play James Madison. He was the antithesis of the bold and strong government-building hero. He was extraordinarily erudite, very much an intellectual, and he had read political philosophy, old and new.
The big problem will be the degree of authority which the federal government will have over the states. In the ancient governments, even where there wasn't some strong central authority, there was always some controlling power. And everyone knows what happened to the Amphictyons. The same thing happened to the Achaean League. Too much local authority.
I think every age has some major issue that people understand as a kind of an agenda for that generation, a major problem that is to be resolved. In the 18th century, clearly, it was the problem of government. How could you design a government, a new government, a government that didn't have kings, didn't have hereditary rule, that could function, that could be stable? Republics of the past had been significantly short-lived, characteristically short-lived. The great republics were gone. What had happened to Rome? What about the English Commonwealth? What had happened to Greece?
Never before had a people deliberated and deliberately created a new country. And this, I think, gave them a tremendous sense of excitement, but also awe and responsibility. I mean, they felt, they used the term, we have the responsibility of millions yet unborn.
The delegates troop into the Pennsylvania State House. They seat themselves informally at green baize-covered tables, 3 or 4 to a table. And then, silence. The first vote of the convention is to keep their proceedings absolutely secret.
They did that, not in a conspiratorial way, but in the conviction that if they were accountable to the public for everything they said and did, that nobody would say or do anything. So Philadelphians didn't know a lot about what was going on. They knew this group was meeting there, but there's remarkably little in the Philadelphia newspapers about what was going on. People did keep this oath of secrecy. They did not leak during this hot summer.
Over the next months, rumors spread like a thick undergrowth. George Washington's dour expression as he leaves the convention hall one day prompts a report that the delegates are in disarray. Some people on the outside are convinced that the delegates are up to no good. Virginia's former governor, Patrick Henry, for one.
I smell a rat.
On July 3rd, the thermometer tops 90 degrees with a drenching humidity that exhausts the delegates. Blinds cover the windows and keep out the sun and noise from the streets. When they are opened, they let in the flies. In between meetings, the delegates do what they can to find relief. They have their portraits made by an apparatus which produces an exact silhouette of a person's features. 50 years before the invention of photography, these are actual images of Madison, Franklin, and Washington, shadows captured from another era. Reporters trying to figure out what the delegates are doing have to contend with shadows as well, for the total news blackout continues. They know that something serious is going on behind the closed doors. 2 of the 3 delegates from New York State have gone home in protest. After almost 4 months of exhausting debates, the delegates emerge with a plan to completely scrap the Articles of Confederation. They have written a blueprint for a new nation.
This convention created a constitution of an entirely new government, very, very different from the Articles of Confederation, because it was a national government in its own right, with its own president, its own Senate and House of Representatives, its own court system that would reach right down to individuals, have coercive power over individuals in a way that the Confederation never dreamed of.
The Founding Fathers have addressed the issue of power in an entirely new way. They have put forward the idea that only in a large democracy, with an extensive system of checks and balances, can you protect the rights of the minorities from potential tyranny by the majority. It was a revolution in democratic thought.
Prior to that, philosophers had said, if, and it was a huge if democracy is possible anywhere at all, it has to be in a small face-to-face society. Pericles, Athens, Rousseau's Geneva, something of the sort. Now, they said Madison, no, the secret is an extensive republic. An extensive republic that will allow you to have a saving multiplicity of factions. The more the merrier. Faction used to be considered the great enemy of democracy. Madison said, no, wrong, completely wrong. Faction will be the savior of democracy. Because by having more competing factions, more diversity in the modern language, you will have, again, you will prevent the emergence of a stable, potentially oppressive majority.
The biggest danger to our rights today is not from governments acting against the will of the majority, but from government which has become the mere instrument of this majority. Think about it. That's where the abuse of power comes from. Not the tyranny of the king, but the tyranny of the majority. Wrong will be done as much by an all-powerful people as by an all-powerful prince.
The text of the Constitution is sent to the printers. It is only a proposal. It will not become the law of the land unless it is accepted and approved by the country as a whole. September 19th, 1787. The Constitution is made public. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. For the majority of the country, expecting only a revision of the Articles of Confederation, it is a real shock.
They asked me how I could be against the new Constitution when our friend General Washington will be the first president under it. That's fine, I say, but how about when General Sloshington, or who knows what scoundrel, becomes the second president?
Look at the Senate, being created by the new Constitution. 6 years, and they can be re-elected as long as they please. It's really an appointment for life. And they'll be in this new federal city, surrounded by walls of gold, gold flowing from all our pockets. And they'll live in this Eden with their fellow senators, far away from any nut how ordinary people live.
These men had just come out of a war. They'd just come out of a war. They had risked their lives to fight for no taxation without representation and the power of local government, and all men are created equal. And within a few short years, what is being proposed but the creation of a central government that looks suspiciously to them just like the British government that they have been fighting against.
We have several things in our favor. Everyone loves Washington, and he supports it. All the commercial interests are on our side. They want a government which can regulate trade. The people with money, of course, are with us. They need protection against the too democratic spirit of the state legislatures. On the other side are all those inferior men with very superior positions in local government. They're afraid of losing their power to a national government where, of course, they don't stand a chance of getting elected. And then there are the people. They're suspicious of strong government, and they don't like paying taxes. I can't even guess what's about to happen. Everything now depends on the incalculable fluctuations of human passions. We'll know in several months whether it is yes or no.
Over the next 6 months, the Constitution becomes the major topic of conversation in all 13 states. The debate involves people from every class of society.
There was a perfectly extraordinary outpouring of public concern, writing and exchanges of letters, pamphlets, broadsides, songs, everything under the sun during that period of time, pro and con the Constitution. It's, in my estimation, the greatest outpouring of political thinking in Western history.
At issue, what system would best protect the liberty won by the Revolution? Those who oppose the Constitution are known as the Anti-Federalists. As the debates intensify, it is clear that they are in the majority.
If you ask, what is the source of this? What is the agitation all about? What are the Anti-Federalists concerned about? It's the fear of the creation of this amount of centralized national power. And it's an effort to state those fears, the fear of a national army, the fear of a taxing power of the national government, a fear of executive authority, a fear of aristocracy that could be built into this through the Senate. It's a long series of fears that people who are still devoted to the original principles of the Revolution saw as developing out of the Constitution proposed.
Governmental power will introduce itself into every corner of the country. It will wait upon the ladies at their toilette. It will enter the house of every gentleman, watch over his cellar, wait upon his cook in the kitchen. It will penetrate into the most humble cottage. And it will touch the head of every person in the United States. And to all these different people, the message from the government will be the same. Give, give, give.
This Constitution is an open invitation to Jews or heathens to take over our country. Soon we'll even have the immigration of peoples from the Eastern Hemisphere. All because there's no religious qualification for office. None.
These lawyers and men of learning, these moneyed men who talk so finely and gloss over the details so smoothly to make us poor folks swallow down the pill, they're the ones who will go to Congress. They'll get all the power and all the money into their own hands, and they'll swallow up all us little folks.
The other side of it was the effort of the Federalists, those in favor of the Constitution, not only to calm those fears, but to explain the way in which they were unreal.
Remember, sir, we elect our leaders. The people are free to choose whomever they please to govern them. Good people, smart people, yes, even rich people may be elected. But they can also be kicked out of power if they don't represent the will of the people who elected them.
Why should you have confidence in a person elected to your state legislatures as opposed to someone elected to the federal legislature? Is there some magic spell that converts honest men to tyrants when they become delegates to Congress?
Yes, this is new. Yes, it's never been tried. Many things Americans have done we've never tried before. We've accomplished a revolution which has no parallel in the annals of human society. We have set up governments which have no model on the face of this globe. And now we can improve on this great confederacy. On this, you must deliberate and decide.
Always we debate this question. We're debating it in Washington now as to how powerful the federal government should be. That's what American politics is all about. And they set the terms, especially during the great turmoil of ratification.